Artists who often maintain longevity are those that are able to develop and mature, not only in their character, but within their music. J. Cole's early career was focused on subjects typical of the early 2010s, especially that of a young 20-something artist. Wiz Khalifa was rapping about weed, Young Thug was singing about his women, and Fetty Wap was doing both. Nearly every artist was bragging about those topics, and still, many young artists continue to do so today. Lil Uzi, 21 Savage, Travis Scott, heck, Drake's been doing it for 15 years. But in 2018, after the peaking popularity of Clout and mumble rap, it seemed as if J. Cole was attempting to follow trends again. Many believed his soon-to-be-released album, KOD, was a project heavily inspired by the characteristics of Clout artists. That is, lyrics on drug use and instrumentals relying on hard-hitting trap drums. This seemed to be an obvious attempt at riding the wave of relevance. However, the day before release, J. Cole revealed the three meanings behind KOD's title: Kids on Drugs, King Overdose, and Kill Our Demons. While this album was inspired by Clout artists, it was not made to replicate Clout artists. It was a way of illustrating the harm that young artists were introducing to young listeners. This project was a response to the new generation and to their glorification of narcotics. The three meanings of KOD can be seen most effectively in ATM, The Cutoff, and Friends, each one providing subliminal and apparent messages expounding upon the album's title. As you might have guessed, ATM revolves primarily around money, but it goes much deeper than that. Where a traditional Clout song would deliver a surface-level message on wealth and fame, ATM takes those elements and purposely creates a hypocritical narrative. Throughout the whole song, and especially the music video, he exerts an over-exaggerated profile of success and luxury, presented in a light of transgression. For example, in the opening shot of the music video, children are riding a comically oversized pill bottle, chasing a paper trail left behind by J. Cole. This is a representation of how the current rap culture is impacting the youth. Cole, in a satirical manner, is portrayed as an artist of the Clout era, or as King Overdose, and is showing the kids that the path to money and therefore happiness is by following him and his practices. Further through the song, lines and imagery describe cars, drugs, money, all encompassed by a reckless attitude. But this display of arrogance and money feels more like a confession of weakness than it does a braggadocious narrative, as if this isn't a triumph for him, but a vice. The most evident proof for this is seen in the music video, as he sits in a literal room of money, wearing a straitjacket, as well as the line that says, "Can't take it when you die, but you can't live without it," emphasizing the control money can hold on oneself. J. Cole uses ATM and its visuals to show an extreme portrayal of Clout culture. With money and narcotics at the forefront, priorities set by the industry are only creating a harmful idea of what's truly important. For those trying to navigate through life, it's creating a house of mirrors, giving a false reality, telling them that one thing will give them happiness because those they look up to seem to be happy with it. But they'll still feel as empty as before, if not more, once they finally obtain it. This sort of influence is exactly what leads to KOD. Whereas ATM flaunts Clout culture themes at a surface level, The Cutoff holds onto them like a crutch, acknowledging their use for dependency. In many ideologies, it's believed that a state of pure happiness and fulfillment is achieved through thought. Because of this, substance abuse can often be an attempt at reaching that higher state of mind. Furthermore, escaping the difficult sober life to be lived, as J. Cole proclaims in the introduction and throughout the chorus. However, the question must be asked, is this routine an attempt to achieve fulfillment, or more of an attempt at escaping misery? The nearly 4-minute song contains only one verse, and in its entirety, it can be a representation of man's faults, lines of pride, anger, and continuous blame. It introduces an interesting dilemma. The sought-after heavenly mind state described in the intro is now contrasted by the aforementioned earthly sins. The wish for ecstasy and insight will never be fully obtainable through the life currently lived. Although drugs and alcohol may prove to be a temporary fix, providing a synthetic spiritual experience, which may be why it's continuously brought back to attention. However, it must be recognized that we, as humans, sin and make mistakes. It's what we do. But the only way to better oneself is through repentance and a will to change, not through substances and escapism. J. Cole says this line a total of 12 times throughout the song. Substance dependency is communicated through sheer repetition, happening again and again. And each time it ends in the exact same way. It's a golden calf, a fruitless attempt at fulfillment going in the opposite direction. If our lives aren't being governed by some kind of morality, how can drugs and alcohol possibly substitute that role? Maybe the subconscious desire isn't heavenliness, but simply a way to get by. Even so, this path of self-medication and dependency can only lead to addiction, despair, and ultimately, KOD. Friends is where the third meaning comes to full fruition. Similar to the cutoff, J. Cole openly acknowledges the dependency that he and his peers rely on. In fact, it's reached a point of integral importance, needing it to get through each day. And what's so wrong with that? It feels good, it eases his mind, but in the end, is it really helping him? The first line of the opening verse were met with an assertive statement, getting straight to the point and talking directly to the listener, or more specifically, to J. Cole's own peers, whose names are concealed on the track. This isn't about subliminal themes or hidden messages anymore. This is about conveying a message, giving guidance to the ones he loves and those that are struggling. While he carries relatability and expresses his sympathy to their situations, the cordial approach does not last long before giving them direction. J. Cole is brutally honest with their circumstances, calling out their foolish pattern of blaming. The same pattern Cole was guilty of himself previously in the cutoff. Just because blame is a viable excuse for life's consequences doesn't make it the right one. Rejecting accountability is only jeopardizing an opportunity for change. This isn't an easy thing to do, to call out your loved ones and bring to light all of their wrongdoings. Understandably, many avoid the conversation altogether in order to steer clear of the inevitable tension associated with such a conversation. But if help is truly the thing we wish to give, that conversation is the only possible way to help. This is where Cole lays everything on the table. His concerns over their habits, their self-medicating, their reclusiveness, their anxiety. He isn't trying to humiliate them. He's trying to support them, get them back to a life worth living. And in the final lines, he makes it explicitly clear, this isn't a Clout album. It's a response to the culture. And it's a call to KOD.
What is your feeling towards them? You know what I mean? Is it like a...
First of all, I fuck with them. I actually fuck with their music.
Really?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
J. Cole's attitude towards new music and the younger generation has evolved over time. His initial response was one that would be expected of an older artist: neglection, disappointment, and concern. But instead of standing on a hill, he took an objective viewpoint and tried to focus on the positives residing in the genre's future. In the final song on the album, titled 1985, Cole even gives a testimony aimed at these young artists. And while some may classify it as a diss track, it also doubles as a fair warning on how they should handle their newfound careers. KOD's instrumentals are strongly derived from the era it was produced. The current music was an inspiration to his own. Young artists were making things he never would have considered creating. Not only that, but these new and upcoming artists are capable of making beats in their bedrooms and spreading it to thousands, if not millions of people around the world. It's a different time from when J. Cole started, and he loves to see how the industry has evolved. Although just because he's adapted and developed to the industry's trends doesn't make him prone to follow their virtues.
But I empathize with you because I see you want it so bad and I can't imagine why. You know what I mean? I would love to find out why. I would love to peel back your life and be like Like what's under there? And even if I never get the chance to do that with you, I hope one day you get to that place where it's like, what's forcing me to want this shit so bad that I do this?